Guys, you know when they say if you can't beat them, join them. This is one such example because hey, you know what, ne? Yeah, when this guy came in, there was a lot of noise around where it originally came from and so on. But I think it's a result of extensive research actually that Ford has done to actually get to where they are right now. Because like I said in the main review, if you haven't watched that review, please go check it out. At night, we don't focus on a lot of things. We focus on night things mostly, but we will just talk a bit before I keep quiet and let you like just see how the car drives, hear the sounds that it makes and so on and so on. Otherwise, guys, welcome to the channel. It's Sibua and I appreciate that you're here with me tonight. Look, should I rather play the sound now or later? No, I don't think we should play it now. Look, we'll play it on the way, and yeah, the rest we'll talk about on the way. Look, this is the Ford Territory, and yeah, when it comes to, there's the camera, guys. That's how the camera looks. I don't particularly like it per se because it's not as clean. And in this one, you will notice immediately that you don't have ambient lighting, and it should tell you right away that it's not the top spec, because this is the mid-spec trend variant, which is coming at around 646,000, somewhere there. And if you want the Territory, if you want to get into the Territory, you can get it around 590,000, and then the top spec titanium will set you back around 721,000. So that's what you're looking at. This aircon is quite loud, but I need it. Yeah, but you know what? I think it's just too loud. Let's hit the road. Look, this engine is a little bit jumpy, man. Look, it's a little bit jumpy, and it makes you feel like it has like some unfought like characteristics in it, because if you have been in a lot of Fords, you would know that they actually prioritize drivability on their cars, and that's something that you'll realize because this steering wheel, I think it's electrically power assisted, and I think it's a little bit too artificial in how it feels to the hands, and that's something that you'll notice right away. And Ford, I'm driving a Ford myself. From the Fiesta, if you drove the Cougars, your EcoSports at the time, you will know that when it comes to the passenger vehicles, there's a way that actually you feel about those cars, especially when it comes to steering wheel calibration, the way it feels on the engine and so on. This doesn't necessarily make you feel like that, but I don't think it's an entirely bad thing, because it's made in a market that has cars that drive like this. And when you have cars that drive like this in such a market, you're thinking, you know what, why not conform? I'm in Rome. I'll do what the Romans are doing. In this case, of course, this car was made in China, but the misconception, of course, is like it was some sort of a rebadged car from China or something like that. But that's not the case. This car actually is a Ford car that was made in China. It was designed, I think, in Australia, but made in China. And it's definitely a Ford. It came from the marriage between Ford and JMC. That's something that we need to keep reminding people, because it looks like people think this is, let's make sure that at least we get out of this cleanly. But hey, look, here's the thing. Like I said, it's a Ford. And despite anything that I'm saying everything else, or I said everything else in the main review, because of the car, not necessarily because it's made in China or anything like that. Okay. Yep. Not necessarily because it's made in China. Like, I don't think that's the reason why you should look at this car and think, but is it a Ford? Look, the engine itself, my understanding is that the 1.8 liter EcoBoost in here is coming from Ford as well. 138 kilowatts, 380 Newton meters of torque. Those numbers, they may sound like they're complicated a bit because you're hearing a lot of eights, but believe me, this engine is probably the party piece in this car. Because when it comes to everything else that is in here, there's a lot that I question whether it's a Ford. But yeah, this engine for me, when you pull it like this, you can feel that actually it moves. It does move. And mostly this car, I've just been driving it on normal. No need for me to put it on sport and so on, because I don't even think it's a sporty car like that. You can see even by the way it looks and so on that, yeah, it's not necessarily made for that kind of a thing. If you want to do it though, you can, but in this case we just on normal. And one thing that for me I think Ford has done well with is understanding of what is needed in the market. Because when it comes to cars like this, this car is like 4.6 meters in length. To get something like this is almost cars like that can even take like your 7 seats. In here it's 5-seater. Of course, you would have seen, of course, the boot space as well is quite sufficient. The space in the cabin as well is quite sufficient. And when you think about that, cars like this, if you want to get it made in another country than China right now, it's probably going to cost almost $1 million. And if you add like all the specs that you get on the titanium, like your panoramic sunroofs and all the ambient lightings and leather seats and so on, you're looking at something that was probably going to cost around $1 million. So that's the thing. You're going to have to choose. You can't be naive and think that just because people know your brand, you're going to be able to sell the car. And I think that's what they did well by bringing the Chinese version of like this car here. Because here right now, if you look at the sales of this car, like the sales figures, when it came in, when it had like almost a full month in May, it sold around 264 units. That's more than Cherry Tiggo 8 Pro, guys. We're talking Cherry right now. You know how much those are selling. I think Haval H6 outsold this by like less than 10 units. So you can see what Ford was doing here. Extensive research was done, and I think they've done well in that case. And overall, when I'm just thinking about the stuff that we normally check at night, it is actually performing quite well. I can see that the lights are actually quite good, and you would have seen as well the interior lighting is quite good thanks to this ceiling. I think because it's a light ceiling. Yes, I would prefer a darker ceiling and probably a panoramic sunroof on the titanium. But hey, look, if it works out in here, I can't complain much because it illuminates quite well. And I like as well this this blue ice blue kind of lighting, because this is what I prefer. It's either I do an ice blue or I do the white ones. And I think from that perspective, it has add some ambience, especially looking at this these screens that are in front of us. They also add some ambience in the car. So it's not like that ambient lighting is something that I'll complain much about. The lighting in here is quite alright. Outside, inside, the LEDs as well, I like them. I think I'm not gonna say much. If you wanna hear more about this car, you can check it out in our main review. But if there's something that I won't miss, of course, is the sound system. And after the sound system, I won't be saying much because I want you to experience this car as clean as possible. And yeah, that's the sound system, guys. And yeah, you know, the moment you take the volume high, it starts cutting, sounding scratchy and everything else. I said this in the main review when we were on gravel, that I will show it to you when I'm on smooth surface, and it's still doing the same thing. So yeah, I'm not gonna miss the sound system. But otherwise, guys, you know how we do it at night. From now on, I'm going to the N4 now, so you will experience how this car drives, the sounds that it makes and everything else. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. Really appreciate it, and I am out.